Hello everyone, my name is Will Chapman, Vice President of Marketing with Brock Partners. Today in this two-part video, we are going to be discussing something very important for your business, that is policies versus revenue. Which CRM metric actually tells you if your agency is healthy or not. We're going to be discussing the difference between tracking policies based on policy count and based on revenue. So most insurance agencies track what's easiest, not what's meaningful. Understanding the difference between policy-based and revenue-based tracking in your CRM is one of the single most important decisions you're going to make for your scaling. A couple of reasons why is because they're going to tell you two different pieces of information. Depending on where you are in the journey of growing your agency and growing your business, may or may not be important. But as you continue to scale, there will be things you need to take a look at. So let's go ahead and give this a start here. So the vanity metric trap that every agent falls into. You closed 50 policies last month, but are you actually making money? Many agents celebrate the policy count without ever asking whether those policies are generating real revenue or if this is a vanity metric trap. It silently kills the agencies that are technically busy. Now, what the policy count says is we're busy, we're writing business, and the activity is high. And all of those things inside of your agency sound good, and they are good. However, depending on what you are spending, just because a policy is being written does not mean that there is money coming back into the agency. So simply tracking by policy count is great for a lot of reasons, which we'll go into in just a second, but it can also be very misleading. Next, what revenue is going to tell you? We're profitable, our commissions are growing, and we have a sustainable, healthy agency. Now, obviously there are two huge differences between these two statements right here. And again, depending on where you are in your agency's growth is really going to depend on what you need to focus on tracking. So the most dangerous place to be as an agency owner is busy but broke. And that's exactly where the policy-only tracking will eventually lead you into what we refer to as something like profitable prisons. So next, policy-based tracking and the efficiency play. Policy tracking is a unit metric, so it counts the raw number of applications that are submitted or active contracts on the books. Every sale is treated as an equal win, regardless of the premium that's attached to it. So with that in mind, why would I ever track policies? What would ever be the use of doing something like that? There are some very good reasons to do it, especially early on. So number one is simplicity. As you're growing, keeping an active count on how many policies you have coming in, it becomes much easier to track that revenue because there's not as much data coming in and out, right? So when you start, simply tracking your policy count makes things a little bit easier for you, and it is a very good place to start. All right, next, agent morale. This is huge. If you have a team of agents, and instead of setting a revenue goal, which is what we go by here at Brock Partners in our office, we set that revenue goal because we know exactly how much money is going out towards marketing and exactly what the return on ad spend needs to be in order to continue or scale that particular marketing effort, right? But if you're strictly going on a morale basis, what I would suggest is keep that the same because, again, 10 sales feel like 10 wins to an agent. So for agents who are working high-volume products like Medicare Advantage, this keeps them motivated and keeps momentum going. Lastly, operational capacity. It tells you how much administrative work your team is handling. Processed 100 policies requires the same labor whether the premium is $50 or $500. So there's really no, you get a sense of actual volume play, but you don't really get a sense of how much money is coming in and out of the agency itself. Next, when does policy tracking make the most sense? Policy-based tracking shines in specific business models. If your agency operates in any of these environments, a policy count CRM setup may be your primary performance lens, at least at the top of your funnel. So, high volume, flat commission products, Medicare Advantages, often carry very similar commissions across the board. When every policy pays roughly the same, counting units as an accurate reflection into your revenue trajectory. So, essentially, if I write X amount of true-up Medicare Advantage in 95% of states, I know exactly what that's going to be if it is a true-up or if it is going to be a renewal. I know how much is coming in just because it is standardized. Call center or churn and burn operations. Agencies running large inbound or outbound call floors need to measure throughput. Policy count tells the managers exactly how many deals each rep is closing per shift per week. Large numbers require you to look at that policy count because there's somebody on the back end that's taking a look at the revenue. This is strictly for sales floor management and to keep your team tasked. Next, new agent and onboarding coaching. When coaching a new agent, activity metrics matter most early on. Policy count helps managers identify whether a new producer is getting into a rhythm before layering in new revenue expectations. And that's exactly what we're talking about. When you put a revenue quota on someone, the pressure does become quite heavier. So you want to make sure that you've got them through that point of, you know how many policies you need to write? Okay, great, they hit that policy number. Hitting a revenue number is a completely different story. And lastly, for today, the CPA and policy metric that can mislead you at scale. So now we've gotten to the point where we're really needing to make sure we know what we're bringing back in from the return on ads, from the return on your actual marketing, for your return on ad spend, which is going to give you your actual number that you need to pay attention to in your marketing. So cost per acquisition is the most common marketing metric in insurance agencies, and it's almost always tied to policy count. Here's the formula and the critical flaw that's hiding in sight. So the formula is total ad spend divided by total policies written equals your CPA. All right? So an example, $5,000 spent divided by 100 policies equals a $50 cost per acquisition, or CPA, if you did not know what that was. Looks great on your report, and your marketing team celebrates. So helps them celebrate the win as well. But here's the problem. If those 100 policies each generate only $40 in commission, you just lost $1,000 at scale. Your CPA told you nothing about profitability. The risk for insurance agents is optimizing purely for CPA trains your ad platforms to find the cheapest leads, not the most profitable clients. And in insurance, the cheap leads often mean low premium shoppers with high churn, high chargeback risk on life products and potentially Medicare Advantage products, and clients unlikely to cross-sell or refer. So with just strictly gauging policy count, it is very, very difficult to understand how your marketing is actually working. So if you want to show your agents just how many policies did I write, that'd be great for morale. But on the back end, if you're running marketing, you're definitely going to want to know what that return on ad spend is. And in the next part of this video, I will be going over exactly that. How do you track return on ad spend, and how do I get more for my money in marketing? Look forward to seeing you there.